This Baker fellow, you know the one, that so-called doctor or professor from down the South Island. You know, the slimiest creep that appears often on TV with that silly, incompetent Prime Minister of New Zealand. You know, some people refer to him as half-baked Baker, the one who is so far up himself, who is hanging on like grim death to his idiotic position of expert and advisor to Ardern and that incompetent cabinet. How could any person, other than a misguided, foolhardy, bullshit-filled intellectual, constantly push for booster mandates, pushing his red traffic light environment, and through straight-out incompetence keep suggesting that New Zealanders stay in a vacuum of activity and prevent personal survival? This Baker fellow seems more like a falsie than an honest, down-to-earth Kiwi. Mind you, he is obviously in the pocket of Ardern, trying to be part of New Zealand's history. When this fiasco was finally written, the writers and orators will ponder how did any of them stay out of jail with their obvious manipulation of the truth, or was it just pig-headed incompetence? The reason why announcements about announcements are made, rather than just one announcement from that dearly silly little Prime Minister, is to ensure the government hasn't made any cock-ups in its first announcement. Well, I think that is what she has tried to say. But hold on. If they were true, then since the government does this all the time across the whole raft of issues, and regularly enact bad, unworkable, impractical, or just plain stupid decisions, it means their system for spotting cock-ups, it certainly doesn't work. Or maybe they did find some, but not enough to put a dent in their terrible decisions anyway. Either way, it smacks of complete incompetence, indecision, and confusion. Never a good look for any person, let alone a government. What is it about this government that sees it make decisions, which Barry Soper writes, it seems not to be based on sound information that can't be quickly announced, and even when they are announced, they won't be implemented immediately. It is this vacuum of decision and action that helps the crazies amongst us to keep feeding the fear factor. It keeps the economy, the business owners, and those who make this country go around in suspense, creates uncertainty for those who actually have to make sound economic decisions based on the beehive's latest pronouncements, and leaves us all in a state of bewilderment and certainly confusion. Why on earth a government can't do its job and actually govern, make a decision and announce it, and then stand by it, it's beyond most of us. We have always interpreted this situation of Ardern and her cohorts are being driven by their desire to keep the power of control, but that action is always driven by complete incompetence. Barry Soper then observed that this Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, tells us they want to make sure their decision don't have any knock-on effects or consequence, which doesn't to me say a hell of a lot for the decisions they've made already. But there's more. Ardern told us no one will be fundamentally worse off as a result of the government's delaying until Wednesday, until today, before the decisions are announced. Why? Well, because many decisions, if any, won't take immediate effect, so no one will be worse off in allowing the beehive to make additional 48 hours to make sure they get it right. So yet, here again, there will be an upcoming announcement of another announcement on Wednesday, from that announcement of the announcement made after Cabinet on Monday. But there's every indication that the announcement, whichever one is actually being made to take effect in short order, won't take us out of the red traffic lights we've been stuck in for absolute months now. That's this Baker doing, this sleazy guy, the one who loves his traffic lights, and silly Ardern listens to him. The wiring might be changed, which could hopefully see crowd sizes, by example, being increased from 100 for those who are vaccinated and 25 for those who haven't taken the jab. And even when people go along to a mahjong afternoon, they won't be forced to wear their masks while they have a game of mahjong. Have you ever heard anything so stupid? In fact, vaccination status should no longer be a factor if you consider the decision that was actually made last week but not announced. Unvaccinated Kiwi travellers being allowed into the country without the need to isolate. We were all taken by surprise to find that out because it came in effect at midnight last Friday, but no one told us. It wasn't announced because it's patently ridiculous. It will affect just a handful of travellers, which all the big airlines flying into the country, including our own in New Zealand, still refusing to carry unvaccinated travellers. Which, of course, proves the con job that's been done on people who make such decisions. It seems the only flights that allow the unjabbed to get on board are those from South America, and there's only one of those a week. But if we're talking silly, the Prime Minister's omission that's delaying tourists from coming here until May the 2nd from destinations other than Australia will prevent us in the thousands Omicron cases a week defies logic when you consider how many cases are being recorded every day. Who is silly? Who really is silly? Think about this. This incompetent government with their unbelievable misinformed experts, or us, yes, you and I, the people of New Zealand, who have seen through the shower of government and the constant idiotic decisions making at every level since the last election.